It's your boy, and today we're gonna talk about my Beatles collection. I have a gigantic Beatles collection that I just want to show off or whatever. I don't know. So we're gonna talk about it. So let's start with the Beatles Revolver. This album is a really good album. One of my favorite Beatles albums. It's not my favorite, but it is one of my favorites, and some amazing songs on here. Like what's that one song? Oh, For No One, I Won't Tell You. I Won't Tell You is a great song, and Eleanor Rigby is always a classic. Um, Next one is the Hard Day's Night soundtrack. There's a soundtrack, and very interesting that they put out like a soundtrack when the movie's based off the album, really. But it's a really good movie. I definitely recommend it for you to check it out. But it's interesting to have a soundtrack of like a album movie. Kind of strange, but interesting soundtrack. And we got the White Album. The White Album. This is like one of my favorites, like top three favorite Beatle albums of all time. I love this album so much. This album is so great. Wow. It's just a white, like, it's just white back here. It's nothing anything like fancy or anything, but it's really cool. And the Magical Mystery Tour. Come on. We got, this album is such a really good album. It's an underrated album in their discography. I feel like no one really talks about it as much. But this album is a fantastic album that, I don't even know if it has any bad songs on here. It's like, it kind of takes you to another world, like this magical, mystical world that they present on this album cover. And I think it's funny that they're all wearing, like, these animal costumes. Like, what? Like, who came up with that idea? Pretty weird idea. Please Please Me. I didn't buy this album. Someone gave it to me. It was very nice of the person. They let me borrow it, and then one day they were like, you know what, you can have it. And I was like, what? I was like, that's crazy. But it got a little bent up. Some of these Beatles albums got a little bent up because years ago I would play them nonstop, and because they were so great. But this album was always just kind of one of my like personal favorites. It's just like their older work. This is their first album, and it's just, I don't know. It's some nice tunes that I like their older work a lot. I know a lot of people prefer their older work, but not their older work. But you know what I mean, like when they got older. But when they were really young like that, I feel like they put out a lot of classics. And we got Abbey Road, fantastic album. Yeah, what's much not to say about it? Like, it's a classic album. It's one of the greatest albums ever made. And we got Rebel Soul. And this album I enjoy a lot. It's always kind of like, it's an album that I really like by the Beatles. Like, there's some amazing songwriting and songs on here, like Girl and In My Life. Like, In My Life is such an amazing song. Like, just blows me away every time I listen to it. But this is when they started getting a little rockish, but not fully. They kind of had their signature sound, but this is when they starting to like experiment with other sounds. Introducing, this is just basically a Beatles album that just has like greatest hits, basically. Greatest hits. Yesterday and today, someone spilled something all over it. I bought it at a record store. I don't really care if there's something on the record or whatever. I just care if it sounds great. And does this sound great? It's amazing. Basically, a controversial album that had a bunch of them holding a bunch of dead babies. I don't know why they did that, but this is kind of like the clean version album cover of it. I didn't buy the original one because I don't know. I don't spend a lot of money on records, but Hollywood Bowl. Fun fact. Someone before me who was related to me actually had this album, and I was kind of shocked because they were like, "Oh, here's a Beatles album you can have." It's just them live at the Hollywood Bowl, and if you open it up, see a bunch of things. Very cool, pretty classic. We got Let It Be, one of my favorite Beatles albums, such a great album. Bunch of underrated songs on here that just has this like wake up in the morning type of vibe to it for some reason. Like this is great to listen to when you're waking up in the morning to like the sunrise, and such a great album. And the movie to it also was really cool. Also pretty great. You know, underrated classic by the Beatles. This is basically the Beatles' greatest hits from their younger years. And then you see them older, younger, older. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know. I like it. They have a lot of greatest hits for some reason. My favorite Beatles album, Sgt. Pepper's. Such a classic Beatles record. Amazing album. Every song, not every song, When I'm 64 is but almost every song is amazing, and I was absolutely blown away when I first heard this record. Such a classic Beatles album. Love it a lot. And we got the Help soundtrack, another a movie soundtrack of an album. I don't know what's the point of having, like, it's basically a soundtrack to a movie album. Makes no sense at all. Don't know why they do that. They did the same thing with the the Hard Day's Night album. And I guess they do it because it's, I don't know. Some people just want the soundtrack album movie to, I don't know. I have it. I thought it was the Help album. I bought it at a record store, but it turns out to be the soundtrack to the Help movie. But I was like, whatever. I like the movie a lot, Help. Even though it's a very long movie, I still like it. This is an interesting album. This is supposed to be when they're in the Quarrymen. Don't know. The Quarrymen. I don't know. But this is supposed to be like their old stuff. There's some good songs on this, but this is when they were trying to find their sound. And they didn't have Ringo yet, so it's a very old like album, 1960. I think it's a pretty interesting album. It's weird to hear them before like the fame and before they became so huge. And this is basically a greatest hits. It looks like the With the Beatles album, but it's a greatest hits. I think it's a cool album. It's called Meet the Beatles. Instead of With the Beatles, it's Meet the Beatles. Interesting. What we got here? Oh, we got another greatest hits, Beatles 65. I think someone before me had this album. They didn't own this copy, but I remember them showing me their copy of the album, and it was my first time like seeing an album in person, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But this album's pretty good. It's a greatest hits. You know, it's not really anything. You know, like this is a greatest hits also. The early Beatles. I like collecting their greatest hits because sometimes it's cool to have like an album that just doesn't just have the studio music, also have like the singles, and not like, you know what I'm saying, like they don't have the album cuts, but they have the singles also. But they have the album cuts on here. I don't know what I'm saying. They have the album cuts and the singles on here. Okay, let's see. This, I don't know what this is. This is like an interesting, because I see it shows like a early Beatles picture. Like these are when they're like real young, but then you hear songs like Back in the USSR, Helter Skelter, songs that they made when they were like had beards and were basically, I don't know, like older. Interesting. This is a live album. I have this on the tape deck. I'll show you. This is very cool. This is very rare. It's very dusty because I haven't played this yet. I have a tape player like that, but I haven't played this yet. It's very dusty, but it's cool. and I have it on vinyl. And there's a song on there where they do one of their songs, "I Want to Hold Your Hand," in German. It says it right here. "I Want to Hold Your Hand," sung in German. So they were performing in Germany. Pretty cool. And we got a cool like documentary album where it's about them before like how they started, and it's not any music on here. It's just people talking about the Beatles and how they started as a band and their history. And it's pretty cool, and I learned a lot from it. And yeah, it's not an album. It's not like a song album. Like there's no songs on here. It's just a documentary, and you hear someone like you hear people talking about where the Beatles grew up, where the Beatles started their career. Interesting album. And we got a couple more left. We got another greatest hits, and it's that same trilogy of the. You see, it's the there. This is the blue one, and there's a red one, and this is basically them like after their this phase. Like after they were like this, they became this and started making like a lot of classic albums, and they were always making classic albums like this. But you know what I mean. Yeah, this is also a cool album. Yeah, it's pretty dope. And we got. I like this album a lot because it has some songs on there that I always wanted to get in person, like the Ballad of John and Yoko. I was like obsessed with that song because it's like super like I don't know like cool. And I got this album. This album is pretty cool. You know, it's a cool album. I like this shot. This is a cool shot. It's also a cool shot. I don't know if this. I guess this is the greatest hits. They had a lot of greatest hits. You know, I don't know why. And then last but not least, we got the one and only Yellow Submarine soundtrack. This album is pretty great. I love the movie also. Really classic movie and classic album. Yeah. So, alright. Now this is my Beatles CD collection. Yeah. It's not as much as the vinyl collection, but it is some very good CDs. Now I have all their albums on CDs, so this is going to be pretty cool. First, let's start with Let It Be. Really good CD of the album. I would listen to this like all the time on CD. And like when I go to places, I'll just throw this on and jam out to it. Such a great album. Let It Be is so underrated. Such an underrated album. And we got Abbey Road on CD. This is a good fresh copy of the Abbey Road album on CD. I like that they're repressing this album. Really cool. And when you open up, you see this cool photo of these guys. Yep. Making sure the CD's in there, and it is. I was scared for a minute. I was like, oh, snap. And we got Yellow Submarine on CD. This is really cool. Great album. And it's great to have on CD. Open up. And you get this nice photo of a submarine. And you see all these guys in it. I used to have a Yellow Submarine mug. And it was pretty cool. And the next one is the White Album on CD. Really cool. Get a photo of these guys. Kind of like interesting. And if you pull it out, you get this original. See, it's just a covering. Now, we got Magical Mystery Tour on CD. We got Sgt. Pepper's on CD. My favorite Beatles album. Pretty great. Amazing. Rest in peace to George Martin. And we got Revolver on CD. Pretty amazing. Pretty great. And we got Rubber Soul. I'm going to say Yellow Submarine. Rubber Soul. Amazing album. must to have on CD. Great. And I got the Help album on CD. I don't have it on vinyl. I have the soundtrack to the movie on vinyl, but this is still really cool. Still really cool. And we got, hold on a sec. And we got Beatles for sale. This is like an album that I like, but like it's never really been like something I would like listen to all the time. But this is, it has some really great songs on here, and I love these photos. Like, they're pretty cool. Pretty cool photos. Interesting. And we got Beatles for sale. Not Beatles for sale, sorry. With the Beatles CD version. Pretty cool. If you open it up. Pretty great. And we got Hard Day's Night on CD. I used to listen to this on CD all the time. Since I don't have it on vinyl, I have the soundtrack to the movie on vinyl. But this is pretty cool. You know, I like it. It gets a little rusty after a while because I had this for years and I would listen to it for a long time. So of course it gets a little rusty over time. And we got Please Please Me on CD. Pretty cool, pretty great. Pretty awesome. And yeah, that's my Beatles collection. If you want to see more videos like this, say it on the comment below. Tell me if you want to see more videos of me saying my collection of an artist's discography. And yeah, you know, long live the Beatles, and have a great day. See ya.